Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for dialing in for the first in our special series of Brightside Talks. We're going to be having these Brightside Talks happening over the next few weeks or so. We've got one new one every single week for the foreseeable future. And that's to help you whilst you're all at home, to help you make sure that you're still able to get some support and think about your future. And hopefully there will be some really interesting topics. Today's speaker we're really excited about. It's a really interesting topic and a really interesting insight in returning to education before sort of after you've already started your career. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the baton over to our speaker. So my video will disappear until the end and our speaker will start and introduce themselves. So over to you.
Thank you, Matt. I am Doordarshini. So hello, everyone. I hope you're keeping safe at home and you're also keeping in touch with your family and friends. So I am here to talk about my journey and my experience about the transition from an academic experience. So my journey so far has been, I have a previous bachelor's and master's degree in finance and economics. And so I have an established career of nearly 6.5 years as an analyst and senior analyst at the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development. I really like my job, but then because there are many positive aspects about it, like perks such as travel benefits, job security, overseas trainings, a very comfortable life because it was practically a 9-to-4 job, and great colleagues and a very fantastic friends. But there were some aspects which happened when reality hit me hard. So I realized that I was really bored at work. I did not feel motivated to wake up and go to work, as I could not see the end results of my work. And I also believed that I could do much more than I was actually doing. But at the same time, I continued to do the same job because I was afraid of being over ambitious. And then another reality was that I was more passionate about the subject of environmental economics than simply being curious about it. Next slide, please. So there were some issues that I was encountering during my realization period, which I transformed them into goals, and subsequently I'm still trying to achieve them. So I'm still working on the achievements, but there are 2 specific achievements that I have able to do it. First one is there was lack of specific master's courses in my home country. So I transformed it into my goal of applying courses in UK universities. And currently I am studying a full-time master's at the LSE. The second issue was that it was too costly to study abroad, even by distance. So little by little, I started to keep aside personal savings and to fund my studies. So this is what I have achieved so far, and for the other achievements I'm still working on it. And I'll talk about my interest in the subject, how I came to discover. So it took me nearly a decade to discover my interest and my passion. I went through different stages and steps. So I will roughly point out the main findings of my interest. You have to reflect on what you really want. Even if you have a career overlap, it does not matter. It is never too late. You still can do it. And then you have to think about how what kind of degree or professional qualification you have to do so as to gear your career path towards your chosen interest. And then it is really important to research on the subject by keeping your tabs with traditional social media, newspapers, Facebook, academic papers, company reports, government reports, reports by international bodies such as IMF, World Bank, and also NGOs. It is also very important to keep an open mind, so to keep the flow of ideas coming in. And then last but not the least, this was the question that I was asking: how can I help the society, instead of how can the society help me? And then it was time for my transition experience, which was really thrilling and at the same time complicated. So I had some challenges that I will talk about. Firstly, I had to get out of my comfort zone. I mean, from my home country, surrounded by family and a very comfortable job, to my dreams. And I also had to catch up with technology, because by the time I was doing my undergrad and master's, the technology was not very relevant to my studies. But now I have to keep in touch with social media to maintain networking with my tutors and friends. And I also had to adjust myself to the very highly competitive academic environment in my school, in my university, sorry. So this also, at the same time, this helped me. And I also had to adjust to the international environment, to adjust my culture, to adjust to the cultures of my classmates. And another challenge was that I had to ensure that I had enough funds so as to finance my master's. There is a certain disadvantage of doing my master's right now instead of like a decade ago. Obviously, I have a career lag that I have to fill in, because people with the same masters today, they have achieved more than I would be able to have achieved. And then I have to forgo some benefits from my past civil sector jobs, just such as job security, a good salary. So I have to start over again. But at the same time, I think that with my past academic and professional experience, I have more maturity, more experience, and I have an added passion to understand the subject matter from years of readings and research. I also think that my professional skills will add to the new skills that I will acquire from my master's degree. And then I will be able to understand the subject from different perspectives. Like I am from a finance and economic perspective, economic background. I will understand the subject from different perspectives instead of jumping into the field of environmental economics directly after my undergrad degree. Here are some of the research about my subject that I was doing at that time. So environmental economics is important in understanding climate change, pollution, biodiversity loss, and develop appropriate policy solutions. And these are the few career path areas. Well, this is specific about environmental economics. You could do the same about your subject of interest. Like how can you help the society with your subject of interest, and what are the career paths which interest you the most? And finally, I think it is never too late to change your career. It is important to pursue what you're always passionate about. This may take years and years to figure out what you really like, but it doesn't matter. It is never too late. You have to always do what you're really passionate about, because job security is not that important. It is job satisfaction which is more important. And last but not the least, it is always very important to have a funding plan to back your passion, because it's not worth it just having dreams. You also need to have goals and plans how to achieve them. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Doordarshini, for that really interesting talk. I hope all of you that are dialed in, found it useful as well. The real takeaway that I had from there is sort of her experience of actually going and starting her career and deciding that it wasn't right for her. Is, you know, it's a really brave choice to make that, to move away from that comfortable lifestyle, but actually being able to pursue what you're really passionate about and find those new opportunities. And I really hope that those of you that are dialed in will realise that whilst there's lots of pressures on you to make your decisions as to what you're going to do when you leave school or leave university, depending on where you're at, actually there's always more doors that are open to you, and you're always able to go back and continue to pursue what you want to do, and as it was mentioned, you know, it's never too late to change your career. So yeah, so I hope that gives you something to think about and something to take away. Like I said, this is just the first in our series of Brightside Talks. We're going to be hosting them every single week. They're all going to be about 15 minutes like this one. And the next one will be on Thursday next week. It will be at 4 o'clock. I will send you over the registration details if you are interested. The talk is going to be from a final year student who's been studying at the University of Sheffield, and she's going to be talking through her experience of managing her finance at university. So if any of you are thinking of going to university in the next couple of years and are worried about the financial implications of doing so, you'll be able to log into that webinar and learn a little bit about what it's really like to manage your own finances at university. If you have any questions, I didn't see any in the chat box just now, but if you do have any questions, you're welcome to email them over and I can pass the questions on. Like I said, I'll be sending over the link to this talk via email afterwards, so feel free to reply with any questions you might have of the speaker and I will be able to get those over to you. Thanks again for dialing in and hopefully see you next week.